In this chapter there's a description of the behaviour of a liberated one. You can't really describe the behaviour of a liberated one. I suppose one of the reasons we get such descriptions though is that the notion of liberation can create philosophical problems. If you're free from the ego sense, how can you operate in the world? It's not really an issue, but it's an issue when you start thinking at these things from a certain angle. I think Vasishta tackles this later on, but all I would say is, if you look at the ripple or the wave on the ocean, it's got individuality, it's unique and all the rest of it. But it's just going along with the forces which shaped it. There are forces at play which shape things. The liberated one is one that does not identify with these forces, but the forces are still in play. This present paragraph is saying that you can't actually tell the difference between the liberated one and the unliberated one, or the non-liberated one, because the liberated person may well be going along with all the social norms, all the social conventions, and you'll certainly find contrasting passages to this in the Yoga Vasishta, how the liberated one is a friend to all and that sort of thing. But here we get in the impression that the liberated person is somebody who's just playing a game, playing at being emotional. For example, while enjoying the company of your wife and participating in festivals, etc., manifest delight as if you were subject to mental conditioning. Engage yourself in funeral rites and even in war as one with limited understanding and ignorance. Acquire wealth and destroy your enemies as ignorant people of limited understanding do. Be compassionate towards the suffering, adore the holy ones, rejoice in happiness, grieve in sorrow. Be a hero among heroes. So it's saying basically carry on as normal. There is a conflict when you're caught up in spiritual inquiry as to what you should actually do. I don't mean in terms of practice, but in terms of your lifestyle. This is quite a big question, which I might tackle some other time. But the solution here is just to get on with your dharma, your social obligations in accordance with your circumstances. But I would question this idea that the spiritual practitioner or the liberated one is some kind of emotional zombie, manifesting the appropriate emotion in accordance with the occasion. What it means is, I think, that you can go along with certain emotions on certain occasions. When enjoying the company of your wife, this probably means sexual company. Enjoy it. Go for it. You don't have to manifest delight. There will be delight, and you can let that delight flow. If you've lost a loved one, then you'll be grief-stricken. Let the grief flow. We don't have to make a point of saying, oh, I'm a spiritual person, I'm not going to be caught up in this intense emotion. Spirituality has nothing to do with being a cold fish. The word dispassion is often used, but it doesn't mean being cold. It means being aware. Aware doesn't mean being aloof. It simply means being aware. It means being aware when you're engaging and when you're not engaging. Awareness doesn't mean not engaging. Awareness means engaging 100%. With your gaze turned inward, swimming in the bliss of the self, and with your heart and mind at peace, what you do not do. This is the rather dubious idea that the equanimity or the equilibrium of the yogi is like this and it's fixed no matter what's going on all around. So the yogi is in the bliss of the self. But it's not like that, unless you're a traditional yogi perhaps. But if you're a spiritual practitioner, equanimity is about coming back to that balance. If you're experiencing grief, you're not going to be swimming in the bliss of the self. You're going to be experiencing grief. You're going to be distraught. But then you come back. That's the point. The ordinary person is like this, is like going like this, all over the place. That's the ordinary person. The yogi, the spiritual practitioner, is like this. Always coming back. This could be bliss, but there's no bliss here. But there's bliss here. No bliss here. Bliss here. So the idea that the yogi is permanently in a state of bliss, I would call that into question. I think they'd have to be quite cut off in a very non-yogic sort of way, if that's how they were. When you thus rest in the self, even the sharpest weapon cannot cut you, the self-knowledge. This self-knowledge can't be battered by anything. This self-knowledge is not cut by weapons, nor burnt by fire, nor wetted by rain, nor dried by wind. Cling to the pillar of self-knowledge, knowing the self to be free from old age and death. Thus rooted in self-knowledge, though active externally, you will not once again fall into the error of self-limitation, vasana. Lead an active life, though remaining inwardly as if in the deep sleep state. Keep coming back. Keep coming back to equilibrium. Keep coming back to realization of the self by the self.